celebrating the African American experience. This is Honoring Black History.
Hello and welcome to Honoring Black History. I'm Ashley Moss. Baton Rouge is full of Black history in everyday spaces, from a barber shop, a theater, a school, and a church. The city's history, the city's Black history, can be found in all of those spaces. And not just what was, but what is. And we'll spotlight that when we show you the role of Black fathers. But first, as Baton Rouge reflects on the rich history of its Black community, we turn our attention to Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church, which has stood as a spiritual and cultural anchor in the city.
You cannot convince me that the Black church is not essential to the future of the Black community.
Founded just 7 years after the end of the Civil War, Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church is one of the oldest in the capital city. Baton Rouge native Fred Jeff Smith is a third-generation pastor at Shiloh and one of only 5 since the church began.
My grandfather pastored this church for 25 years. My father followed him and pastored this church for 50 years, and I'm about to celebrate my 13th year. A tremendous opportunity to continue the legacy of family service within this community.
As the civil rights movement progressed in Baton Rouge, local houses of worship in the city's strictly segregated neighborhoods played key roles in the push for social equity. Shiloh was a site for both inspiration and strategic planning.
There were a limited number of places where Black families could bring their children and leave them in a safe and wholesome environment.
The formative years at Shiloh set a tone for service that continues today.
This church was built in '72. They organized a daycare for growing young Black families so that they would have someplace safe to bring their children. That daycare is still in operation. In 1976, families were struggling to provide scholarships, monies for tuitions for their children to attend college, so a scholarship fund was started.
Pastor Smith says the cross offers a framework for demonstrating compassion while offering practical solutions to everyday issues in the neighborhood. He's just continuing the blueprint for change his father laid out.
It's his God-given responsibility to try to pair the talents that existed within the church with the needs that were not being met within the community. And within the church, he found a way to work collaboratively with people, both Black and white, across the community in order to maximize the opportunities that the church had to meet those needs.
From scholarship awards and youth programs to community learning and health outreach, the goal at Shiloh is to shape lives from the inside out, standing as a testament to the power of faith to inspire, educate, and uplift the future of Baton Rouge.
Shiloh has always sought to meet physical needs, economic needs, emotional needs, family needs. And so the church filled the gap and continues to fill the gap.
Now let's turn our attention to the story of the Great Migration of Black Americans, told by the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge through a contemporary lens. The exhibit brings together Baton Rouge-based creatives as they explore the movement's history and cultural impact through art.
The Great Reunion is observing the Great Migration through a more contemporary lens.
It's the strokes and swipes of a paintbrush that make this story come to life.
The exodus, I would say, of about 6 million Black Americans from around 1922 to 1970.
Artist and curator Mike Weary says the exhibit uses texture and color to follow the resettlement of Black Americans from southern states like Louisiana all the way up the Mississippi River to Chicago.
And revelation in the knowledge of you, and help them to see themselves as daughters and sons of the Most High.
There's a big jazz influence that went upwards towards Chicago also, and you can see that in a lot of the art behind us. So that's the main thing, is the Great Reunion is just being able to bring us back.
That initial wave was a large influx of Blacks going to the north, looking for the promised land.
In the gallery, Each piece tells a tale of resilience.
They were striving diligently to escape the systemic racism, all those things that existed here in Louisiana that were very oppressive.
I'll just focus on New Orleans second line, the culture, the Mardi Gras Indians, what's going on, and the food. Ain't nothing better than New Orleans food, man.
And it's a moment in time Southern University professor Terrell Johnson is personally familiar with. His ancestors also made the trek.
There's a large influx of individuals that left BR and went to Chicago. As a matter of fact, I have family that left from rural St. James Parish by way of New Orleans and moved to Chicago.
Generations later, many families are returning home to their roots. Mike Weary hopes the show strikes a chord beyond the gallery walls.
So I want them to be able to take away from this a sense of cultural belonging and a sense of resourcefulness between two different cities.
And as we continue through the artistic lens, the West Baton Rouge Museum has unveiled a new exhibit that examines the lost burial grounds of formerly enslaved Black people across the parish. Our own Brianna Moore shares how this will impact future generations.
Museums, known for telling and preserving the stories of the past, being the voice for those no longer here to tell their story. And in one room in the heart of the West Baton Rouge Museum lies the unique Gone But Not Forgotten exhibit.
There have been some cemeteries that have been lost to the river and to the ocean.
The exhibit showing the community, if cemeteries are not preserved, stories, history, even legacy will be hard to trace, something that's already difficult for some descendants of enslaved African Americans.
You know, when we think of history, we often think of documents, right? And a lot of times, who had the ability to create the documents, who was doing the writing, who owned the businesses and left all the ledgers, etc. And those were oftentimes the wealthy white people of the community. So in order to get those other stories, you often have to look at other places.
Everyone deserves their dignity. They deserve to not be lost to time, that their legacy be preserved.
And that's exactly what Michelle, Debbie, and several other locals have set out to do, working to ensure that no one's story is forgotten or grows cold, while the museum continues its mission to make sure the entire community knows and remembers.
The museum decided to get involved with presenting all this information that Debbie has been meticulously working on for really over a decade in some kind of public exhibit space.
The exhibit space highlights 4 types of cemeteries: lost cemeteries, church cemeteries, endangered cemeteries, and benevolent cemeteries, like this one here in Port Allen.
Highly endangered grave. This is a benevolent society cemetery. So with benevolent societies, what happened is, if you could kind of think of it like group insurance, you pay a little bit in each month, and the society would provide a burial ground.
Anytime we can do stories on local history, whether it's just right here in West Baton Rouge Parish or the surrounding region, we love to be involved, because that's where you get those new stories, maybe the untold stories, or the stories that you've only heard one side of.
One group, one mission, their own time, their own money, their own dedication, all with a single goal: treating every ancestor, regardless of color, with dignity and preserving what remains for generations to come. Because no matter your race, occupation, or wealth, every headstone has a story. For Honoring Black History, I'm Brianna Moore.
Make sure history doesn't repeat itself. Now that's the goal for Fathers on a Mission. It's a group that meets weekly, empowering men to become better fathers or father figures in the Baton Rouge community. Ethan Goode brings the story.
Black History Month is often told through marches, milestones, and movements, but some of the most powerful change begins quietly around tables and conversations between fathers deciding to show up.
Fathers on a Mission is a fatherhood organization here in Baton Rouge where we provide holistic services for fathers, help them with jobs, help them with becoming a better father, help them with being engaged with their kids.
In a community where Black fatherhood has too often been misunderstood or overlooked, Fathers on a Mission is changing the narrative by strengthening the man to strengthening the family.
The main priority is strengthening families, and it all starts at the top with the fathers, and having a present father, not only in our household, because every situation and relationship may be different, but having a father present or a father figure around to hold the stability is one thing that's needed.
Presence, not perfection, is the foundation being rebuilt here. Every Tuesday night, men walk through the doors carrying stress, but they don't walk alone.
Ultimately, society has lost the sight of the importance of fathers, right? Fathers and father figures. So we have to bring that back to the forefront and realize that we're going to make significant changes in our city and state. It starts with the fathers.
For generations, Black fathers have faced barriers, incarceration, economic hardship, systematic inequities, yet the responsibility to lead, love, and guide never disappeared.
You get as vulnerable, as open as possible, knowing that everybody sitting around you or sitting at the table next to you is not going to do anything but love on you and uplift you.
That impact reaches beyond fathers. It reaches into living rooms, school hallways, and future generations still finding their way.
One of the most impactful stories is one of the fathers we met through our program in East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Once he was released, he came and sought us out to get some help with getting back on his feet. We helped him get a job. We helped him get back into his children's lives, coming through our fatherhood classes.
And sometimes one opportunity can change everything.
Your strength comes when you're able to have someone that you can lean on and shed a couple tears, and they not gonna talk about you, laugh at you. They just gonna look at you, say, I got you, bro. Let's keep on going.
A second chance became a new beginning.
Once we have these conversations about manhood, a father's impact on his children, conflict resolution, fatherhood discrimination, when we have these conversations and you feel the impact of the facilitator, what he's sharing, it makes a difference in our lives and get us to think about things that we don't normally think about.
For Honoring Black History Month, I'm Ethan Good.
Honoring Black History continues. It once hosted names like Ella Fitzgerald and James Brown, now new life with historic Lincoln Theater. We'll explain when we return.
Celebrating the African American experience. This is Honoring Black History.
A historic landmark that sits in North Baton Rouge will soon come back to life. It's the Lincoln Theater. For this Black History Month, our own Deshaun Johnson shares how several organizations are coming together for a big reveal.
Several Black figures have not only graced this stage, but have sat in these seats. The Lincoln Theater's doors have been closed for quite a while, but after years of dedication and hard work, those curtains and those doors are set to reopen again in the community.
So why not make it?
At the site of the old Lincoln Theater, the community is excited to see something new.
I think Lynn Whitfield might be up there.
The Lincoln Theater sits quietly in North Baton Rouge, a staple to prominent Black figures who've come far and wide to showcase their talents.
The Lincoln Theater was founded in 1949 by one of the residents of this community.
Dr. Aristotle Chapman is the name. The theater, now a historic landmark, was created on the basis of togetherness in the community. A landmark to be sure, but a vacant one. Now, after years of work and effort, not only will the theater be reborn, but new attractions will come inside.
We'll have both live entertainment, and we'll also have the documentaries and pictures of and stories of the famous people who are in the Louisiana Black History Hall of Fame.
The theater is set to have new replicas, historical facts, and of course, live entertainment. It will also be a refresher for the community, something resident Eula Symington says she's been waiting for.
Beautiful history. I remember we used to hear about Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, oh my God, all the beautiful groups.
She, along several others across the area, could recall the vibrations of music ringing through the neighborhood. She says she never had a doubt those sounds would echo again.
I never gave up hope that it wouldn't be. I just figured it would be a stable of time of when they could be able to afford to do it. So when they say, okay, we're going to have a show at the Lincoln, hey, I'm pulling out my debit card. I want to see it.
Those funds came from many organizations across the parish, wanting to also see the theater reopen. Donna Butler, like the rest, have the same passion to uplift those Black voices who sit quiet nearby.
This is a very underserved area where talent is concerned, and they have to go to Baton Rouge or they have to now go to Shreveport. We want something right here.
Her main goal is to invest in the youth, giving them outlets like open mic nights, theater productions, and more.
We're trying to bring it from the ashes and uplift. We want to combine, not just for entertainment, but think about it as far as giving back to the community, giving back to what this is rising from.
After their first open house, they say many are excited to see what's new to come. Dr. Durant says he has the same excitement and hopes this new look brings a new sense of community.
We hope that it will help bring this community alive again.
For Honoring Black History, I'm Deshawn Johnson.
And still to come, we take you to Baton Rouge's historic McKinley High School, well past due for upgrades both inside and out. Stay with us. Honoring Black History continues.
Celebrating the African American experience. This is Honoring Black History.
Welcome back. It's a Louisiana legend whose words and storytelling has helped preserve the Black experience in rural Louisiana. That's all thanks to an oak tree. Ethan Goot reports.
Beneath the branches of a centuries-old oak, history breathes. This is the Miss Jane Pittman Oak, a living witness to generations of Black rural life in Louisiana. It is just down the road from where a young boy grew up who would become a literary giant.
The autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, which basically put him on the map. When he was a child, he grew up right down the road here, and they would walk by going to the store.
That child was Ernest Gaines, a native son of Pointe-Coupee Parish, whose words carried the voices of Black rural life onto the world stage.
Mr. Ernest Gaines was an American legend, a Louisiana legend, a Pointe-Coupee native, and a native son who wrote 10 books about Black rural life.
Gaines didn't write myths. He wrote memories, stories shaped by faith and love. Among those, one story stands the tallest, the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, a novel spanning more than a century in America.
Literature, by telling stories, although fictional. He talked about love and faith and intergenerational family connectedness and loss and race relations. So it is about the 400 years of this oak, but also like enduring strength and courage and resilience.
This oak has seen many periods in history. Its rededicated marker is more than history. It is testimony.
The history of this place is hugely important to the people here, to the state of Louisiana, and actually the United States.
Because preserving Black history is not just about remembering the past. It is about preserving the future.
Cultural preservation is so important. It keeps us connected to the ancestors, right? It keeps us connected to our culture. And when generations are able to understand their history, they can be very present. Their cultural preservation can lead them into the future.
Under these branches, stories live on. Stories of strength, of survival, of a people and a writer forever rooted in Louisiana soil. For Honoring Black History Month, I'm Ethan Good.
And switching gears, a historic high school is undergoing a much-needed and deserved upgrade. Our Deshawn Johnson takes you from the past to the future of McKinley Senior High.
When we talk about 800 East McKinley Street, we understand what that means. And it doesn't mean just its history, but it's community history.
It's a piece of Louisiana Black history sitting right at the corner of McKinley Street.
McKinley Senior High School being one of the oldest, not one of the oldest Black high school in the state of Louisiana. This was the only high school, public high school, that Blacks could attend.
McKinley Senior High was first built in 1907, Generations of families walking through this school, creating history in Baton Rouge. But for a while, it sat vacant, waiting for a new look. Robert Webb Jr. currently serves as the principal and says the conversation of renovation centered around the betterment of their students.
We want our community school and our kids to be able to come to a school that they're proud of.
Webb says it's been his mission to keep the history, but restore the spark for their students. And these renovations are just the start.
We want to ensure that our kids have the best that they need to be successful. And we want them to come to an environment where they are really excited about being in school and where they are really excited about coming to a place they want to be at.
In order for renovations to begin, they had to move everything from the original location.
It definitely came with its challenges, but the great thing about it, it's only temporary.
The entire cost of the renovation is around roughly $30 million. Because of that uprooting, they had to move from here to right here at the old Kenilworth School building. Although a temporary site, as you can see behind me, they made sure this still had the McKinley feeling.
We have done our best to make the temporary McKinley site, which is 7600 Boone Avenue, a little piece of McKinley. But it's not McKinley, right? So again, we know it's temporary because we're leaving for a minute, but then we're coming back to something great.
Much of the renovations cover new programs and new buildings. At a community meeting last year, many alumni got the chance to see what the new McKinley would look like. Much of what they can expect ranges from theater departments to welding and hands-on learning.
We're gonna come back to systems in place and actually have buildings built and rooms and spaces where our kids will be able to even further flourish and do well.
Webb shared the true importance of how impactful these changes will be and how this will reshape the community, its history, and the future of the students who walk through this campus.
We will continue to grow. We will continue to offer great programs here. McKinley's going to be here. So with that being said, just get prepared for the future McKinley.
For Honoring Black History, I'm Deshawn Johnson.
And still to come in Honoring Black History, we'll take you to the historic Webb's Barber Shop, a place known for more than its clippers.
Celebrating the African American experience. This is Honoring Black History.
Welcome back. In Baton Rouge, one barber shop has stood the test of time for more than 90 years, serving as a place for more than a haircut. Ethan Good takes you inside Webb's Barber Shop, where legacies pass down one cut at a time.
Inside this barbershop in Baton Rouge, time slows down, the clippers hum, stories flow, and history lives on, not on the walls, but in the people.
My grandfather opened it back then, way back in, over 90 years ago.
It began with one man's dream, a man by the name of Henry A. Webb, a man who believed in ownership and community and creating a space of belonging.
He was from North Louisiana, so he migrated down here and decided to open up a barbershop. And he had two locations.
That journey led him south to Baton Rouge, where this shop became more than a business. It became a cornerstone.
It was real, it had a lot of people in the neighborhood. It was real, a lot of black-owned businesses were still in the area.
Back then, the neighborhood was alive, filled with black-owned stores, black families, and black success.
A lot of stuff closed down over the years, but it was a vibrant area for black people back in the day.
But time changed the streets. Businesses closed and communities shifted, but Webb's Barbershop endured.
I've seen a lot of people, come from other walks of life, and next thing you know, they're politicians or doctors or lawyers. So I've really seen a lot of people come around and, put their input into the community by, doing other jobs and working.
From everyday neighbors to community leaders, these chairs have welcomed them all. Here, conversations spark change, ideas are shared, and generations connect.
Coming around and see how things are, with us, we're kind of old-fashioned, everything is, laid back. A lot of these generations are fast, and it's just slow around here. And, you don't have to be in certain lifestyles. You can come around here, you can just be yourself.
In a world that rushes forward, this place stays rooted. A reminder that Black history isn't only remembered during this month, it's lived every single day. One cut, one story, one generation at a time. For Honoring Black History Month, I'm Ethan Good.
And we appreciate you joining us for Honoring Black History in the Capital Region, but the stories highlighting significant moments and cultural contributions don't end here. More stories from across the country can be found on our website, LouisianaFirstNews.com. Thanks for joining us.